Today, it's Ducky versus Varmilo in this battle of the boards. Specifically, we're going to be taking a look at the Varmilo Glintstone and the Ducky One Aura SF to see what about each of these boards makes them worthy of their relatively attainable entry-level price point, $130 each. Having both of these boards at price parity makes this a precarious decision for anyone in the market for a board you can just sort of plug in and go to town with. So let's unpack what makes these boards awesome and where the opportunities exist. Before we jump in, huge shout out and thank you to mechanicalkeyboards.com for sending these boards over for us to take a look at today. Remember to check out with creator code TheManicGeek if you want to help support the channel, though bear in mind, as with all the rest of my content, this will not color my impressions on these products in any way. Starting with Glintstone, this is a collaboration between Mechanical Keyboards and Varmilo, in the same vein as the Frozen Llama keycaps and keyboards from Ducky. This board focuses on providing the most low-key and well-rounded package possible, giving you not only USB-C connectivity, but Bluetooth and 2.4 GHz wireless as well. The structure of the rest of the board is a fairly standard low-profile, shallow wedge with a bit of additional rounded framing at the top edge of the case to give it some subtle character, and boasts two additional stages of added typing angle and rear height should you desire. We have a tray mount design with a steel plate and plate-mounted stabilizers that come factory lubed. For both boards, there was light tuning needed after typing on them for a bit, but this was relatively largely resolved with some 205 grade 0. Though one of the spacebars for the Glintstone still produces a slight ticking on the left side. There's also plate and case foam present to keep the board sounding more composed, and while I wasn't able to fully disassemble the board to check it out, it does appear to be Poron based from what I can see. The keycaps are a custom colorway with some additional accents, done in a nice double-shot ABS and cherry profile? This was confusing to me as the board features north-facing hot swap sockets, yet was using Gateron Pro Brown V2s for the switch, which carries standard stem travel. So how is there no top housing collision along the home row? The answer lies in the top housing design of contemporary Gateron switches having a slight indent to allow for full stem travel of a standard length stem without having this collision. Galaxy brain move here. This means that as long as you're using a modern Gateron switch design, or can swap to a modern Gateron top housing, you should be able to use cherry profile with them regardless of socket orientation. Moving on to the Ducky One Aura, the main selling point of this board is its transparent look, including the mostly transparent keycaps, though it lacks the wireless connectivity options of the Varmilo board. You can also select from a number of other colorways and form factors, providing different value if you're going for something that matches a specific colorway or theme you're going for. When we got this board in, we asked for the Kale Box Jellyfish switches, as this was the switch Ducky showed in a lot of their marketing for the new line of boards, and it's a no-cost option. Kind of odd for a switch that on its own tends to be quite expensive. Also of note is the Jellyfish switches also have a top housing that's designed to allow cherry profile keycaps in a north-facing orientation. Like the Glintstone, there's plate and case foam, but the plate foam here is silicone, and I can confirm that the case foam isn't particularly substantial, but neither is it truly offensive, at least having some density to it. Apart from the same sort of steel plate, plate mount stabilizers, and tray mount design, the rest of the board departs quite a bit from the Glintstone design in ways you can clearly see. The more aggressively designed case also greets users with a more complex multi-piece design that, like the Glintstone board, creates a screwless appearance everywhere other than the switch plate, which is further obscured by the keycaps. We also saw some surface blemishes in the plastic during filming which aren't present in my personal One SF, so this may have to do with the transparent nature of the plastic used here. It's also worth noting this blemish is in the same spot on both sides of the case and is sort of difficult to see unless you look at it in the right light, so it's not the most noticeable thing ever, but worth pointing out. I have to comment on the caliber of these keycaps here because they almost nailed it, but didn't quite stick the landing. The double shot layer isn't fully filled in on some caps, leaving them with distracting gaps when RGB light is showing through. Kinda makes the board look cheaper than it's meant to, IMO. We also have this strange blemish in one of the accent caps that doesn't clean off, and I'm kinda sad about it since otherwise the accent caps are a nice splash of color. If they can fix the infill and tighten up QC on the accent caps, they're otherwise really well made, though in OEM profile instead of cherry and PBT instead of ABS. One thing both of these boards have sort of a strike against them on is a lack of QMK or VIA compatibility, a feature that's becoming increasingly more common and popular among keyboard and gaming enthusiasts because of the ability to unlock more functionality across more layers on your board. Perhaps in the future we'll see more mainstream vendors and pre-built keyboard sellers start to move towards this functionality, but for right now with either of these boards, what you see layout-wise is what you get. Now let's take a listen to both of these boards and let's see what we think, though I have the sneaking suspicion I know which one most of you will prefer. But comment below which one you like best. In comparing the as-shipped configurations, the Varmilo board sounds a bit more composed and full, if not a bit typical of foam-stuffed boards, with even sound and feel across the entirety of the board. It's not soft, but it's refined, and the choice of a light tactile plus cherry profile keycaps makes for a very comfortable typing experience overall that also sounds largely pleasant for extended typing sessions. It may not carry the flash and colorway options of the Ducky One 3 Aura, and it may not carry the same selection of switch options or form factors, but it's got all the right options, all in a package that should fit right in with any setup at home, work, or on the go. So if it's my dollar, I'm picking up the Glintstone. And in a follow-up content piece, we're going to be exploring my own personal 1.3 SF with some personal modifications to show you all how we can min-max the quality of these keyboards. Anyway, if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. You're the real goats here. Make sure you toss us a thumbs up on the way out if you like what you saw, get subscribed and notified, and follow us on social media. We just got a thread started up. I'm also present on Hive and Twitter. I'll post notifications there when we go live over on Twitch or when there's new content over here on YouTube. Anyway, we'll see you all next time, and take it easy.